If you've been feeling the call to write a book, it is no accident. Your book is needed in the world, so let's make it happen. I'm Nicola Humber, and this is the Unbound Writers Club. Hello and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club. Today I am joined by the author of one of our latest releases at the Unbound Press, Terri Hofstetter. Terri's book, Stepping Stones on the Soul's Journey, is the story of her own remarkable journey over the past 30 years or so. And in this book, she talks about the different twists and turns, the signs along the way, the choices that finally led her to embrace the life her intuition was nudging her towards all along. And part of that was writing this book. I just know that if you're listening to this, you are going to resonate with Terri's story so much. I know for myself, kind of my own journey with learning to see and trust the signs and my own intuition has been such a powerful experience. And seeing that through the lens of Terri's story is it's a really enjoyable and powerful book. So Terri first came into the Unbound writing world a few years ago now, and it has been such a pleasure to journey with her, to hold space for the unfolding of this book. We've been waiting for this conversation for a while, so I'm really, really delighted to introduce you to Terri now. So Terri, welcome to the Unbound Writers Club.
Thank you. Thank you. It feels so great to be here.
Oh, it really does. We were just saying before I hit record, we both feel like we've been waiting quite a while for this one. So I'm so delighted for us to have this conversation, Terri. And I'm going to begin with the question that I always ask at the beginning of these conversations, which is, what in particular makes you an Unbound writer?
What's interesting is I thought about that before because I was prepared for this, is that everything I've done my whole life pretty much is unbound. I'm an unbound person.
Yeah.
I've always been a nonconformist.
Yeah.
And why would this not be the same thing? I'm unbound. And I always march to the beat of a different drum.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything in particular that you feel kind of symbolizes that around your book? Like anything in particular, maybe some old story or belief that you've freed yourself from, or anything around your process that it's like, oh, I'm definitely doing that differently.
In the actual writing, I did blogs, and my blogs were always just what I wanted to do. And I felt safe about that because I knew, okay, nobody was reading them anyway. I don't know. But I knew it was mine and it would be okay.
Yeah.
And I could do it. And sometimes I didn't even edit. I found typos and all that. But what I noticed when I started writing the book was all these beliefs that it has to be done right. It has to be done perfect. And that before I even started, when I was thinking about writing a book a couple of years before I actually came to Unbound, it was always, I would be put back by thinking, oh, I can't do this because there's going to be an editor that's going to change everything and fix everything. And she's going to tell me this is trash and we got to fix it because this is not publishable. That's the belief.
Yeah.
That was the belief I had. And that was put to an end as soon as we talked the first time. I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And that's a fear that can come up for a lot of people, actually, the fear of like, well, what's the point? Because what I write is not going to be good enough anyway. And, that fear of judgment can be really strong. So thank you. Thank you for naming that. I want to take you back, Terri, to when you first started feeling the call to write a book. Like, how did you know that there was a book? And how did you get started with your process?
What's interesting is feeling the call that happened like bam.
Yeah.
But I somehow, and as always, a lot of people say, I've always had this feeling. I joked about once I get my bestseller out, or once I publish my book, or that's going in my book, for decades. But when I first got the call, and I think what you asked is how that went and how I answered that.
Yeah.
And there was an awakening. And it actually was, I was prompted to write about this in the book. At first, I wasn't sure, but there was an awakening, and I had this voice, this vision come to me of, yeah, come back, do what you came here to do. And that happened as I was coming out of surgery, out of anesthesia. And what am I here to do? And I knew it was a call, but at that time I didn't know what the call was for. Like, is this the book? What did I come here to do? And over the next couple of years, I realized that was it. And then I wasn't sure how to start. I wasn't sure, but I knew I needed to write a book. And so I just started writing everything. As soon as I finally accepted the call.
Yeah.
Then I just started writing, and I thought, if I keep writing, eventually it's going to come to me what I'm going to write and what needs to come out. And then stories and memories started coming up from there.
Did you always know that, or did you always have a sense that the book was going to, you'd be sharing your own story through the book?
It's interesting because I had this, well, I didn't always know, but I always had that feeling. When I was in my early 30s, I kept thinking that some of the things that happened in my life were interesting and I needed to write about it.
Yeah.
And I was inspired at that time. I thought, I'm going to write. I was inspired by Bridget Jones's diary. And I kept thinking, I'm going to write a book like that, which I knew was basically her life that she wrote into a fiction. Yeah. And I kept thinking it was going to be a fiction book. And then I had the belief that I'm not cut out to write fiction. And so off and on, I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to write a nonfiction. I'm going to write this. So later on, I thought I'm going to write a nonfiction and talk about the things in my life.
Yeah.
So that's how that came up. What I didn't know then was, as I started writing it, it turns out almost like a fiction. It has those qualities of a fiction.
That's so interesting, isn't it? When we reflect back, it's like, we can imagine that a fictional story is like, oh, well, how could I totally get this. It's like, well, how could I write that? But when we look back at our own life, it's like, that could almost be a film script, or parts of it could be.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Exactly. Exactly.
When I look back at my life, and I think a lot of people do that, but when I look back, I always think, that's not real. That couldn't have happened. And I think that's what prompted me to write the book, as I realized how unusual some things that happened in my life. I just had to write about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Were there any, you talked about some of those doubts at the beginning that came up, but as you were in the writing process, and maybe actually, the part where you're really bringing the book together, were there any particular fears or doubts that came up for you?
A lot. And as I wrote it, and I'm always one that I confront my fears.
Yeah.
As I was writing it, the fear was always, is this going to be, I don't want to say good enough, but is this going to be written well? Is the quality going to be there? What's this going to look like? Is this going to all be a mess? And until I actually got to the point where it all was into the manuscript form, I was afraid I wasn't even going to be able to put it together, because it was all these handwritten notes all over. So I didn't really know how it was going to come out. Am I going to be able to do this? To actually write it and put it together.
Yeah. So how did you do that? How did you get from the point of lots of handwritten notes to actually putting that into the manuscript and bringing it together?
And you might even remember this. I remember thinking it was just a mess. And I think I asked you once in the mastermind, what the hell do I do with all this? And you gave me some tips. And what I finally did, well, first, once I typed it all up, then I could do that. And I took a long time not to do that, because I didn't want to read what I wrote. I wanted to keep in the flow. But finally, it was typing it up and then sorting it out. And you suggested printing it out.
Yeah.
And looking at it. And then then I started putting it in like paper cutout forms, literally cut and paste style. And I even taped pages together and actually got some kind of sense of it. And then it started to look clearer.
Yeah.
A little bit of it was when I was reading, and I'd read stuff and I had some kind of basic outline. I had a list of stories I wanted to include, and I would look at it and say, oh, wait, that's going to go there. And maybe 6 months into writing, I started seeing 4 sections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I could say, oh, this is going to go in there and this is going to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. To do it over, I'll probably have some type of writer's software to be able to move stuff around.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, exactly. There is different software that we can use. I am a big fan of keeping it simple, as you know, like old school, print it off, let's move it around and see where pieces
Yeah.
want to go. And I love that you found that. You found that
And
helpful.
there's a power to that. There's really it goes back to our inner, like our childhood self,
Yeah.
to be able to go and see it written out. And I'm not sure how authors in the future would do that. People that didn't grow up with handwritten pages.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really feel like there was something about that control of seeing it in front of me,
Yeah.
printed out on paper to make
Yeah.
it real.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Fortunately, I would say most of the women that I work with, we can remember before screens, we can all remember that. I want to touch on something because for you, like holding space for your journey, I know that music is a really important part of your process. And like whenever we've been on a call, quite often you'd be like, oh, like if it's a writing session, like you're going to put on some music, or, particular songs or artists have come to support you through the writing process. That's part
Yes.
of how you create. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. What started with that was I needed a muse to get me into the writing zone. And
Yeah.
I literally have every CD I ever had. And I pulled out all my CDs from 1995, about when I started, when the book covers. And I started listening to these old CDs, and it brought me back into that mood. And it got me to where I would remember things.
Mm.
Another thing I did, which I'll jump out to that, was there was a cafe I would go to, and I would sometimes sit at the cafe, and they played, for whatever reason, they were playing 90s music for that summer. And
Yeah.
it was really helpful for me to hear all the music from then. As I got into this and I had all my CDs, had them all in a pile, everything I listened to, it occurred to me to write a playlist
Yeah.
and to write down all of that so the reader can go through that. And I've just got a brainstorm on that, and I'm trying to work on that to see how to set that up. It's right now in list form, which I'm sure would be very usable for the reader to be able to find those pieces, because they're all going to be all over on Spotify and wherever.
Yeah.
But that I felt was so helpful for me to get myself in that mood. And I thought it would help the reader to bring themselves back into it. Most of the music is from the 90s and very early 2000, but there's some older things in there too as well. And it brought me into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, I can feel a Spotify playlist coming on for you and your book, Terri. But I love it because, I'm still into music now, obviously, but remembering the 90s, and there was such great music in that decade. So I always loved hearing about kind of what music you had going on around the book.
There was a magical moment that came up a few weeks ago, and the book's already out. It's sent off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the design phase. And I mentioned twice in the book, as far as music, I mentioned the Green Day Dookie album or something from it. And I had that as I was writing, and that was on my list. And then the Super Bowl came up, and there was Green Day with the Super Bowl, and I listened to the YouTube video or watched the YouTube video, and all of a sudden it went, wow, this is in my book. My book is in the process of going out. And how would I have imagined 30 years ago that I would be listening to Green Day again, playing the same songs?
Wow.
And I thought that was a divine universe wink right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you talk about these kind of signs and the stepping stones on the soul's journey, like that's your book, and it feels like, they're everywhere, aren't they? These little moments where it's like, okay. Yeah, like, we get to make meaning of our experience through them.
There it is again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So how do you feel now, Terry, as we're recording this conversation? We're just over a week out from the release date of your book. And how does it feel to be at this point of the journey?
I want to say awesome. I know that's over generalist. It feels really powerful as I'm sitting here and
Yeah.
I'm holding my book in my hands and I have all this that I finally did it.
Yes.
It's this wonderful feeling of, if I look back a year ago, I wasn't even sure if this was going to happen. I mean, I knew it would happen, but I was starting to feel like it's going to be 5 years before it gets. But yeah, that feeling of I've got it, and excitement of contacting old friends and saying, yay, I've got a book, and people I haven't talked to in 20 years, I'm contacting, and I'm so excited about it
Yeah.
that it feels like a huge major milestone.
Yeah.
I can't even stress how major that feels to me in my life. More powerful than any wonderful landing a wonderful job or
Yeah. It's
all
it's
of those things.
huge. It is huge. And as I often say, most people don't do this. Even if they feel the call to write a book, they never get to this point. It's only a very small percentage who get to this point where you actually get to release your book and hold it in your hand. I mean, I cannot wait to get my copy, Terry, and hold my copy in my hands as well. So yeah, huge congratulations to you. I'm so delighted. So delighted. If somebody's listening to this and maybe they're in the same place that you were, all those years ago when you first kind of had that really clear sign that, you were meant to write a book. But, maybe there are the fears and the doubts coming up
Yeah.
about, oh, but can I do it? Will it be good enough? If someone's in that situation at the moment, what advice would you give them?
If they're just thinking about it, I would first I'd say call Nicola, get a hold of him.
Do
I
that.
would, I would tell them to start, even if you don't know how,
Yeah.
because if I had known that 20 years ago or 15 years ago, just start and don't commit. Don't feel like you have to do it now.
Yeah.
Start and get support. Join a writers group. Call your any friends or any people you know who are authors. Ask them, and uh, follow Liz Gilbert or somebody. Start calling all your favorite authors and
Yeah.
look and
Yeah. Yeah.
and start getting yourself in that mode and start writing. You learn how to write by writing.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. What I'm hearing you say, it's like really immerse yourself in that world of writing, connect with friends who are writers, authors, follow your favorite authors, because, you pick up so much through that. And like you say, you learn through the doing of it. And it's been such a joy to witness and hold space for your journey, Terry. I'm so grateful for our connection.
Oh, I'm so grateful. And I can truthfully say, if I hadn't found you 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I probably would still be sitting here thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this or if I'm going to do this. And yeah, that's why I say also just start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get started and get encouragement, start bubbling up with ideas and see where it goes. And don't pressure yourself that you have to have to have it done or that you're going to get there right away.
No, exactly.
I think that's the scary part is saying, if I have to call myself an author and I have to start, then I'm going to set myself up for failure, and it's not.
No, exactly. Don't put pressure on yourself. Like, you get to enjoy it. You get to enjoy the process. Terri, for those who are listening who would like to connect with you and follow along and obviously buy the book and see what happens next, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
The most active way I'm there is on Instagram, and that's Terri Hofstetter 1 with the number 1 on it, in Instagram. And I say that because I think there's some old Instagram pages that might pop up that I haven't used. And also my website, which I'm going to be getting more up to date, and that's terrihofstetter.com.
Fantastic. We'll make sure the links are in the show notes so people can click through really easily.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and also on Facebook, I have Soul Adventure Network, which I had no idea that would be part of the title of my book, was Soul Adventure Network on Facebook.
Fantastic.
And that's an open group, or that's a closed group. You have to sign in, request to come in.
Amazing.
Watch for those.
Fantastic. We'll make sure the link's there for that one as well. Yeah. Terri, thank you so much. It's been such a joy to have this conversation today. Like I said, I cannot wait to receive a copy of your book and hold her in my hands for the first time and see what she wants to do as she makes her way into the world.
Oh yeah. And she's going to do something amazing. I can already feel it. So I'm excited to see where she takes us on this journey, on this soul's journey.
Exactly. To be continued. Oh, thank you, Terri.
Thank you, Nicola. So glad to be here.